this is called, we're going to identify several learning activities and look for some resources, which we just showed you. Yeah.
We don't have any.
Okay. All right.
Everybody got this?
Thanks. So, to start off, let's consider some of these statistics reported by Myers and Jones. Students are not attentive to what is being said in the lecture 40% of the time. That's a little scary. That's hugely scary, actually. Students retain 70% of the information in the first 10 minutes of a lecture, but only 20% in the last 10 minutes. 4 months after taking an intro to psych course, students know only 8% more than students who have never taken the course. Now this is kind of a longitudinal study over time, over many people, and like I said, the numbers that I have are on that piece of paper that's not with me right now. But regardless of if it's 100% true data or sort of percent true data, this says something about making your students active while you're teaching them. If they're just sitting there, you're going to lose them. It's just going to happen. So these particular strategies you can use in your class. We talked about risk yesterday. So your strategies are on a continuum of risk. Now, this is the way the research labels it, risk. I don't necessarily consider a risk. To me, it's low prep, high prep, like low maintenance, high maintenance. For some reason, they have associated risk with these types of instructional strategies. I don't really know how. But pause, procedure, stop. Ask a question and let them think. That doesn't take any time. It takes time away. You might lose a little content there, but if they're not thinking about the content, what's the point of going forward? Class discussion, your minute paper. We're getting ready to do one of those right now. The think, pair, share. Those are all little times where you get, and we're going to practice that one too. Pro, con, grid. That's kind of, these take paper. That's what the risk is. Now, whether you give them the paper or they bring the paper, that's up to you. These really don't take any materials at all. And then I do have, in one of my folders, I'm not real sure where it is right now, a list, a more exhaustive list of strategies and where they kind of lie. Now, these take some prep time. So, the minute paper. The minute paper is very much like the muddiest point, but the muddiest point happens when? At the end. The minute paper can happen anytime. So there's your minute paper, okay? Take 1 minute to write your understanding of and experiences of active learning, either definition and or example, experiences as a teacher or student. Ready, set, go. All right, that's a minute. That's enough. So, that's a minute paper. We write for a minute. You brainstorm. You recall things. This would be a good opportunity to see if they remembered what they learned yesterday. Now, think, pair, share. Blends real nicely with this activity. And in think, pair, share, you think. There's your minute paper. You've already done that. Then you turn to your neighbor and you discuss to see what similarities and differences you have. All right? Now, they're active. They're talking about your content. No, you're not covering new content at this particular moment, but what you are finding out is what they know and what they don't know. So you don't waste time covering content that you may not necessarily need to. Okay? And this kind of goes back to that work example spiel I gave you. If you can explain something to someone else, then you know that. And this gives that opportunity for those students to explain to each other whatever it is that you all are covering at the time. And then, after you pair, which is what we will do right now, we can just talk about it and you want to try it. Then, you bring everybody back out of the group and we talk about it as a class. So what did you say? What did you say? Now you're and now you've got a shared discussion. You can even do this if they have to read something the night before, or if they have a reading assignment for your class, and then they come into class. This might give you a really good idea if they read it or not. Okay? And so without just standing up there and talking about what you think they read, they're engaged in what they should have read, and maybe catch on and not get lost. So that's two very low risk strategies that take nothing. I handed you the next card. You know, it didn't take much time. So that's one. Now, we're going to jump to the high risk end of the spectrum. And I have to tell you, some of these strategies, it took three of us. Brittany was actually the one who kind of figured out the puzzle, how this actually orchestrate the movement in the room. Remember the other day, or yesterday, it looks like it was a week ago. Yesterday, I talked about when you're engaging your students in the active learning strategies, you are kind of having to think about where people move in the classroom, especially if they're not just turning and talking to their partner. And this was one of those where we had to sit down. We actually got a piece of construction paper and a marker. We had to draw a map to figure out if people were going to bump into each other or that kind of thing. So it's how involved you want to make it. And we were laughing and having a great time. I know when it's August through May, that really is not what happens. But
and then it turns out we planned for more people than we have. So
that was the spot we had to redo it. We had to redraw the image in our head. So what we're going to do right now is what's called I found this and after I found this at the video, and on my piece of paper has some history in it, I will say part of the literature disagrees with everything that was said. I mean, it's pretty funny. They're like, I don't even know what the hell you're writing about. But then, it kind of is. I know for a fact that this supports my learning theory kind of thing. If you go in from two modalities, hearing and seeing, you're tapping more brain cells, and where they're going to remember it more. But after I read more and more about Edgar, I don't know about him. Okay, now we're going to do the jigsaw. So, here's kind of what a jigsaw does. You use it when you need to put pieces together. It says jigsaw, puzzle. Different parts of a process or similarly related topics. I was trying to think this worked great for what I want to use it for. We're going to look at different strategies. So it's one topic with different types. So I'm thinking in your coursework, what topics, if you have one overarching topic that has little bitty pieces that you need everybody to know about, and you don't have time, this is kind of a really good way. It's a save time kind of strategy. It also provides students with opportunities to teach, to explain to other people. So now you know that student knows what they're talking about because they're explaining it to other people. And so there's two different groups. Group one, which is where you're sitting right now. You ready? Okay, so group one is where you're sitting right now, and you're going to get a chart and a category of active learning strategies, okay? And you and your group are going to analyze this one strategy. Then, the second group takes a member from each group, and you put those together, and then you share your strategy with the other members who weren't in your original group, but were in the other groups, and now everybody knows all the strategies. That's how this is supposed to work.
And it's not going to work perfectly because of the two groups of four. So in your groups, just make sure that, one of the papers that it's
Here comes a 5.
is not going to be.
Here comes a 5, another 5.
Okay, so one of the groups is going to have one less person, but it'll still.
So these are your strategy, I
you'll be given an active learning activity, or categories, more what it is. This says find the people with the same activity as you. I will say, we already sat you down to that, because that saves time, but you could randomly hang this out. This may be even a good idea at the beginning of the semester for students to get to know each other in the class. If you hand them out at random, then they have to go find the person with the same strategy, and they're talking and getting to know each other and forming some little sense of community. So basically your chart's going to be, this is the name of the category of strategy that you're doing. So interactive lecture. Basic description, that's probably going to come from this section on that page. Then possible application. That's where you look at the list of down there at the bottom and think about how could I use this particular strategy in my classroom. So this is classroom with one of the bottom strategies. Okay? Skills promoted. Hey, remember, we're talking about what are your students doing? What skills are they learning beyond the content by doing this? Are there other things that they may be getting out of this to make them a better employee? Like those kinds of soft skills that we were talking about. And then everybody has their opinion in this room. I know that. And so, would you recommend them or why?
All right.
Okay, did everybody get their category done? Everybody get their category finished? And you're able to share with another group? Are you now an expert? Are you now an expert? Okay, so here's how Jigsaw works. Look at the bottom of your paper. You will have a blue letter on it. Okay? All A's need to come to this table. All B's, C's, D's, and E's. All right. So now you share with your group your instructional strategy, and then everybody knows the instructional, actually, the active learning categories that were passed out. Okay?
Order. I think it has its own order, and you can fill in your chart as people talk, and then you have a paper to take away with all of the strategies on it.
All right, let's wrap it up real quick. What I'd like to do is, if you didn't get done, it's not that big a deal. What I have for everybody is a copy of all the strategies are in here. Yeah, they're all in here. So make sure you get one. I'm just going to leave them up here. All right, so I want to hear about what you think about these strategies. So let's go table by table. Which one do you recommend? What's your all's favorite? Oh, we like double entry journals. Double entry journals.
From like an interest ticket, they take notes on something they read. It could be a quote, it could be a page, it could be a fact, and they two columns, and they have notes over here. It gives them accountability for doing their homework. It gives them something to talk about when they come in. And they're not nervous if you say, what are you going to say, they have something. And one of the things I found, I do use it. One of the things I have found is that students initially go, I think about that, something probably, but then as they pointed out, they find somebody might say something really, the next time they're like up their game. Say something a little more choosy. And I've done it with entire books or with passages or whatever. And they're like,
Excellent. Excellent. All right, let's start over here because I really wanted to go A, B, C, and D. That's kind of the way I am.
we got about halfway through.
Well, that's fine. Just choose one and let us hear about it.
We had, well, this one I had, the student who was Western. This was primarily focusing on a situation where we know you ask students, you understand, and they just sit there. You know that they don't understand. And this was all about different ways in which you could get to students to try to figure out what they did and did not understand. get them to ask questions about what you're doing. And there were several different strategies listed. One of them we talked about, several we talked about. The muddiest points, you give a presentation, you have an activity, you get to the end, and then you ask students, okay, now what's the fuzziest thing or the muddiest thing that you did not understand about what we did? And you can then encourage them to give that back to you. Another member, when we were going over this, said that oftentimes it's good to get students into groups and have students communicate with each other. Okay, what don't you understand when you get them in a group? And they can maybe rank order the things that they don't understand, and they don't have to feel embarrassed because they weren't the only one who didn't understand it. You can, they can ask questions amongst themselves and then sort of build on their knowledge maybe. Oh, I understood that.
Right. I like that group, getting the group together for them to reconcile their misconceptions. I mean, that just makes that learning just one step above, us correcting their misconceptions.
Sometimes if they can explain it in a way that I didn't,
Exactly.
different wording than that.
That's awesome. Yeah. I like that a lot. Thank you. That was a good one. All right, B. Seth.
We looked at active writing and thinking in writing, and we talked about the application of doing haikus. So the students are distilling something down, looking at the big concepts as well as the details. We also thought the brevity of it would resonate with students because we are looking them to elaborate versus the way that making it short would maybe resonate a little bit more with them.
I've seen, believe it or not, that haiku and doing the research just for this particular session. You would believe how many people do haikus. I was like, wow, because I'd never heard of it. I mean, I'd heard of a haiku, but I didn't realize its prominence in higher education instructional strategies, but it really is, and it does make them hone down on exactly what is this big picture about, and that's a really good one. Maybe we should do a haiku at the end of FDI.
God bless you.
Okay, thank you so much. Group D.
We got through the report list, we got through the prototypes, categories of strategies that the teams have used. And the general consensus, if I heard this correctly, is that they're all very valuable and that they should be used strategically throughout the course of the semester or in the future.
Was there a particular strategy that you really, really liked a lot?
I find it really active writing. That was not on my example section, but, so she chose haiku as the strategy. And, I like the fact that it would be a simple assignment, it's very short poem, but it can do a lot. It promotes creativity, it can introduce students to poetry, it can, get them thinking on people that's creative or critical thinking, and so there's a lot with a very simple assignment.
I was thinking too, you just said, like, that's kind of one of the things that we talked about yesterday was when you can interrelate subjects with each other. So, if you do a haiku in science, now you've integrated literature and poems, and that cross-curricular is a strong bond. It forms a strong bond, the stuff that goes on and gets remembered up here.
So what's your haiku?
I don't know yet. I'm having a yeah. I'm gonna be thinking of some haikus tonight. I can tell you that for sure.
As a poet and teacher of poetry, I just have to go on record just like, that's not please. A 3-line poem, 17 syllables is like 3 lines.
Well, how about we're talking figuratively? Now,
I just wanted to tell you.
Have to be a literal.
I wanted to know.
We can call it like, a short poem.
I can write.
It's a poem at
Yeah, he says hi to the world.
high school life. Okay, last group in the back, save the best for the last.
We'll talk a lot about things that involve groups.
Okay.
Different ones that involve group work for what we
Excellent. So just to remind you, over the course of the next 2 workshops, that you have an IT one in the middle, but the ones that we're doing, the design workshop, we have left design 1 and design 2. In design 1, that's this afternoon, we're going to get into, remember that 3-column chart we started yesterday? Okay, you got to fill in that last column today, okay? Then we're going to talk about how to structure your class, and I'm going to try to give you a different way to think about how to get stuff on your syllabus, all right? And then tomorrow's design 2 will be in the computer lab, because the other thing that we are asking that you do is use a Moodle shell for your NC class for grades, assignment submissions, and class resources, okay? And so we're going to teach you how to set that up tomorrow.